At the end of the workshop, I approached Grace and asked if she offered intermediate class. She hesitated, fidgeting slightly. Yes, just stay tuned. She mumbled. Stay tuned where? I wondered. Grace's awkwardness lingered in the air, so I kept my question to myself. You all did so well. After learning the basic, it's just practice. You can find tons of video online. No need to spend more money for classes. She waved her hand and laughed. I appreciate Grace's honesty. She probably believes that herself, but I also know that despite her sizable Instagram following and 6 years of calligraphy experience, Grace still needs to hold on to her day job. Unless she's truly passionate about that day job, which I highly doubt, she's unable to make a sustainable living from the thing she loves most. After the workshop, I couldn't stop thinking about Grace and her work. What if Grace's story unfolded differently? What if, instead of waving us off with free YouTube videos, she owned her role as a teacher and a guide? So many of us believe that if we love and feel a sense of devotion to what we do, we should not charge for it or charge very little. That art, creativity, and coaching should be given freely. But what if that is a very belief that is keeping you from doing the work you meant to do in the world? Today, I share a story about Grace, a gifted calligraphy artist who unknowingly turned away the very people who wanted to learn from her. And if you are a coach or business owner, this might just hit closer to home than you expect. Stay with me until the end of this episode for a special experience called the Intentional Ink Practice, a meditation and calligraphy ritual to help you anchor into your deepest desire for your coaching business and for your life. In this series, we journey along the untamed path of purpose and freedom. My name is Milena, here to share with you stories, insight, and poetry that help you create a business and life rooted in your soul. So let's take a deep breath. Pour yourself a cup of hibiscus tea and let's wander down the Wildflower way together. The black ink glided across the page and I knew instantly that I was in love. That night, I couldn't sleep, replaying the soft encouragement of my teacher, Grace. She had no idea how much she stayed with me or how much her story would shape this reflection. That morning, I attended a beginner calligraphy workshop led by a young woman brimming with talent. She wore a bright yellow top, black pants, and sneakers. Even with her mask on, her face was contagious. Let's call her Grace. The room was alive with creation, brush pens gliding, laughter rippling, and quiet focus thickening the air like incense. I reveled in the smooth glide of ink and the gentle precision of each stroke. 3 hours flew by in what felt like a heartbeat. At the end of the workshop, I approached Grace and asked if she offered intermediate class. She hesitated, fidgeting slightly. Yes, just stay tuned. She mumbled. Stay tuned where? I wondered. Grace's awkwardness lingered in the air, so I kept my question to myself. We gathered for a group photo, each of us holding our final artwork. Mine was a card with a line from a Mary Oliver poem I love. One wild and precious life. After the photo, Grace said cheerfully, You all did so well. After learning the basic, it's just practice. You can find tons of video online. No need to spend more money for classes. She waved her hand and laughed. I laughed too, but inside I couldn't help thinking. But it's so much more fun to practice with others, and it's much easier when you have someone guides you and helps you avoid mistakes. When I got home, I set the calligraphy folder on my desk, determined to practice. And then days passed. then weeks. Eventually, I slid it into a drawer where it still sits, gathering dust like an abandoned dream. I appreciate Grace's honesty. She probably believes that herself, but I also know that despite her sizable Instagram following and 6 years of calligraphy experience, Grace still needs to hold on to her day job. Unless she's truly passionate about that day job, which I highly doubt, she's unable to make a sustainable living from the thing she loves most. After the workshop, I couldn't stop thinking about Grace and her work. What if Grace's story unfolded differently? What if, instead of waving us off with free YouTube videos, she owned her role as a teacher and a guide? Here's a story she could be living. The story Grace could be living. Grace holds her workshop with a clear intention to give the attendees an amazing beginner's experience and invite those who want to go deeper into an intermediate level where they could learn the real art of calligraphy and Grace could earn a fair and an abundant income in return. She knows that not everyone will say yes, but the right people will. Grace prices her beginner workshop just enough to cover the costs, attracting a full room of attendees. She promoted it on Instagram and sell out 20 slots quickly. But behind the scenes, Grace had laid the groundwork to enroll committed students into the next step. She has clarity on her niche and mission. She said, I help professional working women rekindle their creativity and find peace through calligraphy. She has created a framework that guides her student from total beginner to confident creator, capable of making calligraphy cards, large-scale artwork, and blending calligraphy with acrylics and watercolor. Her intermediate course has been laid out clearly as a 7-week journey, and here's what's included. 1. An exact shopping list for art supply and where to get them. 2. A weekly 2-hour private class in an inspiring co-working space with her. 3. Direct access to her WhatsApp for questions. 4. A curated video bundle of the best online calligraphy tutorial. 5. A 2-hour crash course on taking pictures of your artwork and sharing it online. Grace knows the value of this offer and prices at $700. The students can pay it in 2 installments of $350 or making 1 full payment of $600 to save $100 and receive a bonus. Now, on the day of the workshop, Grace focuses on connection. Towards the end, she asks each participant to share their biggest takeaway. The room lights up with their reflection. Grace gently says, I love how much you've learned in just 3 hours. I hope you'll keep practicing and soon create beautiful art for yourself and your loved one. It takes time to get good at calligraphy, and I made so many mistakes when I first started. She pauses, then adds, That's why I created an intermediate calligraphy course for those of you who want to go deeper. It's a one-on-one experience with me where I can hold your hand and guide you through the next steps. Grace holds up a few of her calligraphy creation. Intricate card, framed pieces, colorful collaboration with watercolors. If you're curious, she continues, fill out your details on this card. I'll reach out to you to share more in the next few days. There are 5 spots available only. A third of the room raises their hands, including me. As I fill out my contact details, I feel excited. The next day at lunch, my phone buzzes with a new WhatsApp message from Grace. Hey Milena, thank you for your interest in learning more about calligraphy with me. I'm honored. You have great skills for a beginner. With a little more support, you'll soon be able to create so many beautiful things. I'd love to schedule a quick call to share more about the intermediate course. Would that be okay? Sure, I reply, smiling. On our Zoom call, Grace doesn't dive straight into the details. She asks me thoughtful questions. Like, why do you want to learn calligraphy? What's holding you back from following your creative calling? And what's your goal with studying calligraphy? What kind of artwork do you desire to create? She also asked me, how would feeling creatively fulfilled affect other areas of your life positively? As I answered, I discovered insight I didn't know I had, and I feel deeply connected to her. Grace listened carefully and says, thanks for opening up, Milena. I love what you say that art feeds your soul. I believe this course will make a difference in your creative journey. Would you like to hear more about it? Now, of course, I do by this point. So Grace walks me through the course. Her framework is crystal clear, each step guiding me closer to mastery of this art form. The bonus crash course on sharing artwork online feels like icing on the cake. So I say a big yes and opt for the full payment option. I'm so excited to gift this gift to myself. When I get home, I pull out the calligraphy folder. Motivated by the journey ahead, I open my notebook and write with my brush pen. Let the soft animals of your body love what it loves. Another Mary Oliver verse I adore. I snap a photo and send it to Grace. Her reply comes quickly. Wow, well done for practicing. I smile, already thinking about the artwork I create for my best friend's birthday. Meanwhile, Grace celebrates enrolling another student. The more students she enrolls, the more confident she feels, the more faith she has in her path as an artist, teacher, and entrepreneur. Within a few months, as she continues to enroll students and generate reliable income, Grace can quit her day job and devote herself fully to the work she loves. If you are a coach, you might see yourself in Grace. You have a gift, one that could transform lives. But are you inviting people deeper into your world? Or are you unintentionally sending them away with a just watch free video mindset? Let's change that. So here are the foundational steps you can take to create this shift. Step 1. Know your niche. Fill in this blank. I help blank to do blank so they can blank. If you are struggling, there's work to be done here to define your niche. Step 2. Know your framework. Transformation takes time. What is your clear roadmap to guide your client through their desired transformation? If you are not clear for yourself, you will not be able to be crystal clear with your client. If the client doesn't see a logical pathway for them to overcome their current challenge and achieve their ideal result, they will not have enough confidence and a sense of logic to enroll and invest in your offering. So this step is crucial. Besides, your framework is your intellectual property, so that the client can stop paying for your time and you can stop trading your time for money and instead allow the client to pay for your expertise instead. This is the key to breaking out of the trading time for money trap and slowly build toward financial freedom. Step 3. Create an in-depth offer. How long will it take for you to walk your client through the framework that you have created in step 2? This is the length of your coaching or your teaching program. For new coaches, I actually recommend a 12 weeks program because again, transformation takes time. Now think here, what support element can you include that will complement the coaching sessions and give extra value that you know the clients want? Here, think of 5 support elements that are not just coaching sessions. For example, can you produce customized meditation tracks? Or can you give direct access to your WhatsApp for DM support in between coaching sessions? Because transformation happens in between sessions, isn't it? And more. There's so many things you can create using your creativity and engage all the different gifts and tools and passion that you've collected along the way. Now, next, think how much is the investment? Because coaching tends to solve more complex problems, you can genuinely price your first coaching program around 1,000 USD. The first coaching program I launched back in 2016 was a 6-month coaching program about relationship, and I priced it at $2,000. Now, if thinking about these thousands of dollars makes you hyperventilate and feeling this extreme resistance, then you probably have some hidden work to do around money blocks. And then afterward, finally think about your payment options and refund policy. After that, you've completed step 3, creating an in-depth offer. Moving on to step 4. Step 4 here, you want to decide a launch strategy. Online masterclass, offline workshop, even through DM or a well-curated series of social media posts. Whatever it is, pick what feels easiest for you and what can help you to leverage on the existing strength of your current network. Now remember, you don't need to have a website or a mailing list or complicated funnels or ads budget or even a big audience to enroll your first batch of highly committed, highly invested clients. Your current connection and networks are always enough. And finally, step 5, enroll the client. Now here I recommend to offer a free way for potential clients to discover whether you and them are the right fit. So free discovery session is a wonderful thing to consider, and you can call it different things. You can call it clarity calls or strategy call. I call it breakthrough sessions. Now, however you want to name it, is a great way to let people explore your coaching with no string attached. This kind of session, when done right, will give you and the potential client a beautiful opportunity to gain clarity on whether or not working together is right, and it will serve the highest good of everyone involved. Now, of course, it will take more to build a fully sustainable coaching business, but know that these are the 5 most foundational step that you want to get right first, and after that you have a stronger foundation to continue building with more ease. So step 1, remember, know your niche. Step 2 is know your framework. Step 3, creating an in-depth offer. Step 4, decide on a launch strategy. Step 5, enroll client and start serving. Now, a bonus tip from me here is that one of the biggest mistakes new coaches make is to exhaust themselves on the social media treadmill. So often I hear coaches saying that they are posting 1 reel a day and they are feeling tired, but why they don't have any client. So here's the thing. You need to stop wasting your time posting a reel a day without knowing who you're talking to, what you're offering, and how you can serve. This is the fastest path to burnout. Your social media effort needs to align with your enrollment strategy. So you can post generic, valuable content all day long, but if you don't have an alignment with that enrollment strategy, you will not see paid client. Now, for example here, to align your social media effort to the enrollment strategy, if you're clear that your enrollment strategy is doing events, offline workshop, then you can map out a social media calendar to promote your event 2 to even 3 weeks leading up to it. Now, you can convert here the audience of your social media to workshop attendees and then eventually, ultimately, to highly committed clients who are willing to invest in their growth with you. Finally, I want you to picture this. You at your desk. Your heart is full. You're guiding your clients who light up with breakthroughs. Your inbox not filled with uncertainty, but with messages from people eager to work with you. Your gifts no longer a side note, but a thriving, breathing reality. Just like Grace's story, yours deserve this kind of unfolding. There's an old Japanese proverb, brush your ink with the weight of your heart. Like calligraphy, building a coaching business requires every stroke, every decision to carry clear intention. Half-hearted stroke creates shaky lines. Hesitation leaves gap, but when you commit, when you pour your whole heart into the movement, your work flows with strength, inspiration, and undeniable beauty. I wrote this article back in 2022, and as I read it, I can still feel its strong relevance until now, 3 years later in 2025, the time of recording this episode. It still breaks my heart, truly still breaks my heart every time when I hear a story of a creative, a passionate coach or counselor or guides or practitioners of all of all modality, from breathwork practitioner to yoga teachers or sound healer, who are unable to earn a livelihood with their passion. And instead of building a life's work sustainably, they eventually quit or have to get a job in corporate and then slowly feel like their soul is crushing and always carry this kind of existential angst of someone not walking the path of their soul's calling. That's what we feel, don't we? We can try to deny it, but if we sit with ourselves, we will feel it. If we are not walking the path of our soul's calling, we will feel this existential longing, this existential angst and ache that is in the background of our life and everything we do. But it doesn't have to be like that. There is a way to both honor your craft, honor your calling to be of service, and also to earn abundantly from without selling your soul or selling your heart. And in fact, I don't see these two as opposite at all, right? I don't see it as, okay, over here you are honoring your path and you are being a devoted practitioners and coach and guide and counselor, and over here you are earning. I don't see it as opposite. I see it as one thing supporting one another. Because if you are unable to earn a sustainable living, you ultimately would not be able to do the work you were born to do in this world. That is something I feel so strongly about. It breaks my heart to see people are unable and giving up. And it's a loss for everyone because our world is on fire, like literally. When I'm recording this episode, just a couple of weeks ago, there was this huge fire raging in LA, and there are unprecedented issues everywhere from political and social, cultural, environmental. And our world is not in a great place right now. That's why we need the change maker, the heart center coaches, guide, and healers more than ever before. We need you guys. And we need you guys to do your work sustainably, not just pouring yourself and exhaust your financial resource and ultimate burnout and quit. We need you to learn how to do your work sustainably while being nourished by it. And that is totally possible. That's why I feel so passionate about my work of helping the ones who help others to be able to do that sustainably. And honestly, when I read this article and I look back at particular experience of me sitting in that calligraphy class, I still have this longing. I still have a longing for an alternative universe, an alternative reality, where Grace actually responded to me when I asked her, like, how can I continue learning? This is just a beginning level and I want to learn more. If she had taken me under her wing and give me more and charge me for it, I want to pay for it, then calligraphy would have had become such an integral part of my creative process. And especially as I am a multi-passionate person, calligraphy, I don't know how it will add the touch of magic into my work and into my life, but for sure I know it will. So yeah, I still long for that. And I hope that by sharing my experience of being on the other side as a student, it helped you to understand what is at stake and the kind of potential that can be lost. And by unintentionally turning away your client because you are not clear, because you haven't taken care of the business side of things, then it is also a loss for your students, for your client as well. And just finally, what can you do now after listening to this episode? If there's a one thing I can recommend you to focus on is step 1. Define your niche. I see day after day coaches, practitioner posting generic, valuable content every day and still complain at the end of the day why they don't have any clients. Well, that's because they are posting without knowing clearly who they are talking to. And also they don't know what they are offering and how they can serve their client. And it's all can start with defining your niche. I have this beautiful online course, a digital course that I produce, and it still holds its weight after years. It's called Unlocking Your Coaching Genius. You basically learn how to define your niche so that you can start your communication more clearer and sharper, and you can start enrolling your client after 5 days. It's a very well-structured digital course, and I have had comments of coaches who specialize on helping other coaches to define their niche. That's all they do. And they say that, Milena, I've attended so many niche finding training from so many different people. Like there are so many different complicated framework like an Ikigai, but eventually it was your course that I find most simple and practical, and that also built for my own business. So these coaches, they are taking what they learn in Unlocking Your Coaching Genius to then help their own client to define their own niche. So yes, it's a really great course and it's available all the time, unlike the rest of my other program that's only open once or twice a year. So if you are curious, I would really encourage you to learn more. The course is Unlocking Your Coaching Genius, and you can go to my website, milenanguyen.com/genius. Again, that's milenanguyen.com/genius. Now, as a gift for listening to this episode, I would like to guide you through a meditation and calligraphy ritual. I call it the intentional ink practice. And I created it because so much in starting and growing a business is activities. We do, and we can really get lost in that. So we keep doing without pausing to see, is what we do serving us? Is it getting us closer to what we desire? Is it creating some real result? And so I want to help you break that pattern and take a pause and instead create in your business from a place of deep intentionality. And when you know how to do that, you get to have more ease, you get to do less, but you will manifest more result as well. So that's a beautiful practice inspired by the art of calligraphy. So if you're familiar with calligraphy as an art, which I adore this art, it is revered by the intention, by the mindfulness that the calligraphy artists pour into the art. You will never see an experienced calligraphy artist rush through their process. That's why it could be so meditative just to observe how every single brushstroke glide across the page with the weight of intention. So let's dive into this beautiful experience together. I invite you to get a pen and paper first. It doesn't have to be calligraphy brush pen. You can get a pencil, ballpoint pens, or even a highlighter. Whatever you have lying around is good enough. The point of this practice is not to create a calligraphy masterpiece, but it is for you to anchor into that intention of your business, anchor into what you most desire, so everything else can flow from that place. Now, if you are somewhere where you can sit down and take that time to really immerse yourself and follow me along this experience, that's wonderful. If you're driving or to somewhere you can't do that, simply listen along. I still invite you to listen along, and even the listening will help you to somehow imagine and put yourself in this experience. And you can always return to it later to do with me when you have some time for yourself later. The only thing I ask is that you don't let this be an idea, but you use this practice as something that you can experience and feel, because that's how it's going to create a real impact in yourself. So we begin first with a grounding meditation. So just take a moment to close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, begins to see your breath. If you are unable to close your eye because it's not safe, doesn't feel safe for you, then just soften your gaze and gaze at somewhere steady in front of you. And if you are driving, don't worry, keep your attention on the road and just let this wash through you. Let the word wash through you. Now take a deep breath in and out, meeting your breath that way. And as you breathe, can you feel your feet on the ground? Can you feel the weight of your body in your seat? And with every breath you take, in and out, can you let yourself arrive fully in this moment? Nowhere to go, no one to be, nothing to do. You're here, not the future, not the past, just here and now. And now breathe with me and inhale and exhale. And begin to imagine a blank page in front of you. Right? Imagine a blank page in front of you, pure, untouched, brimming with possibility. This is your business. This is your creative path. And in this moment, you'll make a mark on this page. But first, before we make that mark, we'll listen deep within. Take another breath with me in and out. Ask yourself, what do I desire most in my coaching business? This is not what you think you should want, not what others say you should aim for, but what your soul truly yearns for. Okay? So what do my soul truly yearn for? And instead of letting your mind to spin and supply you with something very quickly, can you breathe here and sit down and patiently wait for the answer that arises from the depth of your body? It emerges from below, from the depth. Ask yourself from a very deep place and listen from a very deep place. What does my soul truly yearn for in my business? Now, you might hear a word, or you might hear a phrase or a sentence, or an image. Whatever it is, trust it fully. And eventually, distill everything down to just one word. If you saw an image just now, what is the one word that will capture this image? Distill it all into one single word. If your mind wanders, can you gently bring it back to this moment, you listening deeply, listening for that your soul truly longs for. One word emerging. One word emerging. Now, if you already have that word, you may slowly open your eyes. If you don't yet, then I invite you to pause this just to hear. And now, if you are not sure, just go with what feels right for now, even if it's not so sure. Intuition is a skill that we sharpen by practice. So if you're not sure what it is, just pick one. Use your best guess. Use your best guess and just pick one. And when you can, open your eyes. Take your pen in your hand. Don't write yet. Don't write. For the next 60 seconds, we will hold the pen to the page. That's it. We don't do anything yet. For 60 seconds, you simply hold the pen to the page. Feel the space between the tip of your pen and the surface of the page. Feel the weight of this moment. The pause between creation, that sacred pause. Breathe and feel the stillness before action. This is where deep intention is born. Brush your ink with the weight of your heart. Remember that proverb. Feel the weight of this moment. And let you to fill in this sacred pause with silence. And I'll let you know when will be the moment to continue. Now, when you're ready, slowly begin to write that one word. And as you write, feel the ink as it touches the page. Breathe as you do it, and let your breath guide the movement of your hand. Move your hand with the breath. Let this be slow, intentional, deliberate. Can you breathe and feel how, as you move with your breath, the ink become alive, pulsing, like the blood pulsing in your vein. These words come out vibrating with so much magic, different from when we write with our intention. Breathe and write, and know that this is not just writing. This is you claiming your path, your deepest desire made visible. You have already finished the writing, and you can continue with me. And if you have not finished yet, pause this, take your time. Once you're done, we take a pause together. A pause to look at what we have written. In business, so many times we just do. We finish one action, we go to the next, and barely take time to review that action. How did we feel when we did that action? How did our audience or client respond? Right? Is it something relevant to our business that we should replicate and continue doing, or we can let it go and make space and energy for something more suitable? That's why this act of looking back matters so much. So we'll take a moment here. We'll just look at what you wrote. This declaration of your deepest desire. As you look at what you wrote, pay attention to your body and see what arises. What sensation or feelings or thoughts or inspirations, or maybe an intuitive idea. Take note of it. And know that your business is not just a set of strategies. It is an extension of you. And every decision you make, every offer you create, every post you write, every conversation you have can be guided by this intention. Is it bringing you closer to this desire or not? And here's what I invite you to do. Keep this page where you can see it. It can be each morning. Just look at it before you start your work. Let it shape the way you show up. Let it remind you why you're here and the place where you will be arriving at. When doubts creep in, when you feel lost or scattered or unsure of your next step, you might return to this. Come back. You might repeat this entire practice. Get quiet first, listen to that one deepest desire right now, because our desire change. Change with our seasons, change with our rhythm and the living circumstances we're in. So you might repeat this entire practice and then write it down, and then let that readjust and redirect the next seasons of your business and life. And now to close this, we'll place our hand over your heart. Can we take a deep breath together one more time? In and out. And here we whisper the word, a sentence that you wrote. Maybe you wrote a sentence and whispered. Can you say it aloud so you can hear it back vibrating, speaking it into being? You are an artist. You are a creator. Your work is an extension of your soul. Trust the unfolding. Thanks for joining me in this strategic, creative, artful episode of the Wildflower Way. I would be so grateful if you can follow, subscribe, rate the podcast, and especially leave a review, because your review is what helps other Wildflower women to come here and join us. Now, the best way to stay in touch with me is by subscribing to my Wildflower letter. It is free but not cheap and loved by 4,000 readers worldwide. To join us, go to milenangwet.com/letter. And that is milenangwet.com/letter. I'll see you soon in the next episode. But until then, may your heart be wild and your spirit free. Now go out there and bloom.